Thank you all for being here, and thank you, Emily, for asking us to be a part of it. I won't go into a long intro, but just suffice to say that I'm the co-founder of Maverick Drinks. We started distributing craft spirits in the UK in 2013. Now we've got brands big and small. Our largest brand's probably a Lucas Bowls, so a brand with 447 years of history. Teeling Irish whiskey, which Jacob, I'm sure you're very familiar with.
Amazing brand.
Yeah, I would hope you would say so. And we've just got a range of brands that we also create ourselves, which I'll go into in a little bit later. So when I was thinking about this presentation, there's the age-old expression, something is only worth what people are willing to pay. And when we talk about worth, I really wanted to drive that to values and value. And for us, we always try to find things that add value to our guests, add value to our brand partners, and add value to our team, our employees. And so everything about our business, one of our core principles has always been, how do we add value? So some of this actually kind of came quite naturally to us. One of the ways we've always focused on adding value is by trying to build community. And when we talk about building community, it's such a core part of our business that our ABCs of selling are always build community. And we really drive that message into our team that if it isn't adding value to our drinks industry community, it's probably taking away value. And so they should always have that in their mind when they're selling our products into people, that it's not just about the price that they pay or the price that our things cost or the deals that we can do, because we do deals now. But it is about, are our products actually adding value to those bars? Are they adding value to their guests? And I want that to be front of mind for all of our sales team when they're actually going out and selling. We'll talk a little bit about collaboration, how some of our brands have been able to make a lot more noise about their brands just by collaborating with each other. And then a bit on innovation, which I think is going to be very different than hopefully how Morris talks about innovation. And we'll touch on that. So, community. Now the next slide. So this is, for us, it means building a brand around what matters to our customers, your customers. And how we've done that is, next slide. For starters, giving them a sense of ownership. And I think the classic case study here is Brewdog with their Equity for Punks. They've got thousands of people who are, in a very small way, invested in their brands. And I've known now plenty of brands who followed that model to do crowdfunding campaigns that have given their customers, their fans, their biggest advocates, an actual meaningful stake in the business. And I think that that's been, even if it's a small part, they become such big champions of those brands. And it isn't something that is about price. It's not about the product. It's really about giving them that sense of ownership. But also, I've seen more recently a lot of whiskey brands doing cask sales to get people to be involved. And even one of our brands launched a whiskey bonds. You could invest in a bond that would mature over a period of time. So it's all about having a much wider pool of people who are meaningfully attached to your brand. And then the second bit for me was about giving them a place where they belong. And so that could be something that we foster, but also something that might already exist. On the right-hand side, you'll see our brand Kiro in Finland. Every year they do a Kiro Fest 2022. It's a huge music festival. They get flower crowns for everybody. It's just a big rock concert that's a lot of fun for everybody involved. Now, not only is this about bringing people together, it is also the time when they bring everybody who has bought casks to come and sample their casks. And so there's also that sense of ownership that goes along with being invited to this festival, which is a celebration of everything that they stand for as a brand. And then on the left-hand side, there's the British Bourbon Society. I didn't know either. I couldn't believe that there was such a huge group of bourbon fans in the UK. But they've got over 3,000 members on Facebook, and we collaborate with them to let them pick their own cask, which they would release under their own label, only for their own members. And again, price-wise, we priced it the same. It was just about giving them something that was unique to them, that they could share amongst themselves in that really kind of safe space for bourbon fans. And we even gave them we actually let them totally redesign the label. We just gave them the few and the bottom, and they got to design everything about the label. So it was really, it is that sense of ownership, but it's also playing up to that community where bourbon fans get to share things that they're excited about in a really open and honest space. And then I think it's also, you can't really talk about building a brand today without having an alignment of values or something you stand for. And for some brands, it is about soil health and regeneration. For other brands, it is about doing gin for good, Gray Whale Gin in California. And then we have Magenta Tequila, which is one of our brands, and it was the first B Corp certified tequila. Now, all these things are about just creating things that resonate with your customers, that makes them feel that you stand for something. And I think brands that don't are increasingly not just being called out, but they're probably being shunned in favor of those that do. And so I think this is just a start of how we have, we're not even talking about price or anything to do with the products. This is all things that the brands can do to really drive value by building community. And it is something that we hold really quite dear at Maverick Drinks. So I wanted to touch on collaboration a bit as well. And so we have the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So if you see the next slide, and I think you might, oh, there we go. So this is just one example where we had two of our brands we work with swapped casks to create their own new SKUs as a collaboration. And each of them shouted about them independently. They both had huge audiences. And it's not just about that they have a new product, but it's about that they're open to collaboration with people who might be seen as their peers or the whiskey community. And I think, both of these sold out instantly. I mean, they were not about 100 bottles or 200 bottles, but so it wasn't that hard to sell it out instantly. But I think it was a really nice example of where, and Teeling do a lot of this. They released 9 new products this year. One of them was their Teeling small batch whiskey aged in pineapple rum casks from plantation. So they're reaching out across different categories. This was a gin cask aged whiskey. I'll let you judge the results if you ever get to try it. But this is just one example where brands can reach across the aisle and build something that I think is, greater than the sum of its parts. Now, we also create our own brands, and this is a brand called That Boutique Gin Company, and it's really about rapid iteration, rapid innovation. We are creating new products all the time, and we are able to do so many collaborations because for us, these are all 100, 200 bottle batches. So on the left-hand side was a distillery that we worked with in California. Then we have a blogger's gin with Monkey Tea Party Gin. Silly name that it is, but she promoted that to her fans, her tens of thousands of followers. Then we had a Gin Panda. It was Panda and Sons in Edinburgh. We created their own gin. And on the far end, Opium Chinatown, another bar. And for them, the minimum order was 250 bottles, and we gave them something that gave them a sense of ownership, but also was a really great way to highlight that this brand is not just a novelty, but actually some of the world's best bars, like Panda and Sons, are really excited about using these products. And there were even more. It was a really long list. I cut it short. So talking about D2C, which I think is one of the really great new ways, and certainly in the US this is rapidly evolving ways of how brands can really connect with their audiences. And for us, that means using our retail platform, which is Master of Malt, we're the same company, to rapidly create products that we think customers will love. And again, it's not about price, it's about creating, I'm hesitant to use the word brands here, because they aren't really brands in their own right. They're products that we find through data. We create products that we think will resonate, and we launch them. If they do well, we expand on them. So there's a bit of a flywheel there. So it starts off by looking at some of the trends that are happening. Then we map out, and this is actually an old map, so you can't use it, Jacob, but
We'll use anything so you can.
this is an old map that we use, but it has rapidly evolved since this. But just to give you an example of what a year's worth of new products would look like. So, we were looking to do at least a new product every week. And if something, they're all going to be small batches, maybe even less than 100 bottles. But if they go well, we'll expand on them. And this is all done through Mashmalt straight to their customers, looking at data, creating products that match those trends, and then actually playing with the price to see what is the price that actually resonates with those customers. So one of our brands we created this year was a banana-flavored rum. We saw creme de banane was doing very well. We thought banana flavors were doing really well. We created a product at a very small scale to test. It did well, so we created many more. And this is only a sample of the ones we created. So I think there's now 10 in the range. And they have varying degrees of success. It turns out black cherry is now the most successful of that range. But again, the pricing was almost never really the issue. We only talked about things that we're trying to create something that is valuable that our customers just would love. We launched a Jaffa Cake gin last year. It's a sweet cookie in the UK, and I thought no one will ever want this. Well, turns out everyone knows what a Jaffa Cake is, and so, or at least in the UK. Apologies to those not from the UK. And in 3 months, it sold 50,000 bottles. So they're not brands in their own right, but they are things that our customers are looking for and identify with, and we can do them in a small batch, rapid way. And I think that really resonates more to small brands to be able to test things and be able to find a really good partner to launch those with and get that feedback. And one more example, we did a whiskey brand. Well, if you can call it a brand. I mean, it's really a product. There's not really a brand around it. It's very simple. It uses a very overused meme and puts it in a whiskey context. It sold tens of thousands of bottles. So we created a few more. Those did well. So we created a few more. And you can see how we keep expanding the range. And to the point of you would say, well, maybe you're going to kill this brand by creating so many products. That's kind of the point. We find what that limit is of these products, use them for their usable life, and then but behind that, there's 50 more products to be created. And I'm not saying this works for every brand, but I think there is something to trying out and testing products and finding someone from a retail side you can work with to be able to understand whether there's demand, gauge the feedback from your customers, create a real meaningful dialogue there that then helps you to continue your innovation cycle. So, yeah, that's my bit, and I think I'm pretty much right to time. So